Britain has begun to roll out the vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech today, becoming the first Western country in the world to start the mass vaccination program. A 90-year-old woman from Britain has become the first person in the Western world to receive the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine outside of a trial. 90-year-old Margaret Keenan received the vaccine jab at her hospital in Coventry, central England. The United Kingdom is rolling out the vaccine, which is manufactured by US pharma giant Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech. This vaccine has shown an efficacy of 95% in the final analysis of clinical trial data. The country became the first to approve the vaccine earlier this month. United Kingdom has currently ordered 40 million doses of the vaccine, which will be enough for 20 million people across the country. Healthcare workers will be one of the first to get this vaccine. Queen Elizabeth II will also receive the shot within a few weeks. For more on this story, we have Ollie Barrett joining us live from London. Ollie, Matt Hancock says that the vaccination process will mark the beginning of the end of the pandemic. That's the hope, isn't it, for not just the UK but the world. Could you give us some more details about this vaccination drive day one?
Certainly, the day one of the vaccination programme rollout, V-Day as it's being called by British officials, will see several thousand people vaccinated on day one. We're looking at dozens in each particular hospital up and down the country, dozens or hundreds, amounting to thousands across the UK on this first day. It's not an easy vaccine to store or move around or even administer, and so this is not a rollout that's going to see tens of thousands of people vaccinated on this very first day. There is a first batch of 800,000 vaccines in the UK, and they will be rolled out first. The UK still hopes that there will be millions of doses of vaccine in the country by the end of the year, but also we are hearing that caution from officials that getting enough vaccines and getting them into people's arms is a process that is going to take months. It is not going to be something that heralds the end of the crisis before the end of the year. But Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, has been saying today that he hopes that next British summer will be a normal summer for Britons. And certainly today, V-Day is being seen as a major turning point on that path.
Absolutely, Ollie. You mentioned 800,000 vaccines will be made available on day one, and UK has ordered vaccines for about 20 million people. In the initial order has been placed for 40 million doses. So the vaccination process will not end early. Like you mentioned, it's going to take a long time. In countries like India, especially where there's a large population, it's going to take longer. Now, one of the big question marks on the vaccine is just how long the immunization effect of the vaccine would last. Scientists still do not know how long this immunization will last, so we do not know how long can we fight this pandemic. But BioNTech's chief executive officer, Ugur Sahin, has said that he's optimistic that the immunization effect of the vaccine would last for a year. So at least the hope is that the people who get vaccinated for 1 year, they are safe against the pandemic, and you can break the surge of the virus caseload.
That's exactly right. No one quite clear yet how long the effects of this vaccine or other vaccines will last. UK officials have been saying for months that they aren't just looking to secure one vaccine and then work on that basis from then onwards. They want to layer different vaccines on top of each other. Some will have different efficacy, some will have different long-lasting effects in terms of the duration. And it may well be that this country and others get to a point where people need to be vaccinated on a regular basis against COVID-19. It may not just be a one-off vaccination that ends this pandemic. It may well be that populations need to be continuing to vaccinate their people for some years to come.
Absolutely. One final question, Ollie. So many people getting vaccinated on day one, but how is the vaccination process being received in the UK? Are people on board with getting this vaccine doses?
I think the majority of people are very excited that this is starting. There are, of course, people who have concerns about this vaccine and other vaccinations. But the anti-vax sentiment, if we can call it that, is not as high in the UK as it is in some other European countries. Polls have been suggesting that around 65, 70, perhaps even 80% of people believe that they will take this vaccine and will do so happily. If the government can get up to that type of number and perhaps convince some other waivers as well, with the major public relations campaign that is going on at the moment to convince people that this is a safe vaccine to take, then that would be enough to get up towards the point where enough of the population had been vaccinated to move beyond the pandemic phase of this crisis. But certainly there's a battle ahead on that front, and it starts today with day one, V-Day.
Absolutely. UK authorities are hoping that the start of this vaccination will be the beginning of the end of this pandemic. Oliver, thank you so much for joining us from London.